Hey everyone, did you ever realize that legacy characters just generally suck within Marvel and DC? Yeah, no, I'm gonna talk about that, and I'm gonna give you my rationale behind my philosophy that all legacy characters suck in Marvel and DC. Okay, a lot of you are probably already angry typing down below. You're like, man, legacy characters don't suck. Let me clarify ahead of time. Yes, they do suck, and yes, you are very wrong, but I am a fan of X-23, aka Wolverine. I am a fan of Miles Morales' Spider-Man. I am a fan of Valkyrie, aka Mighty Thor, aka Jane Foster. Generally, most of the legacy characters getting their titles has been handled in a very good way. I am a fan of the idea of a legacy character taking up a title in the story moving forward. But because we're dealing with circular storytelling and characters can never change drastically for very long periods of time, well, here, let me give you Dan, come here. We're gonna do a little skit here. Dan, who's your favorite superhero?
That would be Wolverine.
Oh, I know. Wolverine's one of my favorite superheroes too. What do you like most about Wolverine?
Well, she's pretty badass, and well, that's really all you need to say about her.
I mean, I think you got your pronoun wrong there, because he is an incredible individual that works with the X-Men, Avengers, and everybody else on the entire universe.
Well, actually, she also does work with the Avengers and also has a lot of clones about herself.
No. He has a lot of clones, but he also has a lot of kids. There's this one time that he went to hell.
I don't think she ever went to hell, though.
Who are we talking about, Dan?
I'm Wolverine.
Okay. If that didn't cement it in, Dan, hold on. Dan, can you believe the latest thing that Spider-Man did? He had to deal with his own clone.
I know. When Salim showed up and took over his own part of Brooklyn, I was so confused. It was crazy.
Wait, what do you mean, Salim? His clone's name is Ben Reilly. Dan can't keep up with the joke, but the joke there was Miles Morales and Peter Parker. So that is really right there the crux of my problem with legacy characters. You bring out a character like Miles Morales, like Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider, like X-23 becoming Wolverine. People fall in love with these characters. Regardless of you liking or disliking Jane Foster as Thor, she did that for like 3 years. The mighty Thor is instilled in Marvel history. And they try to make you go, oh, that's Thor. But at no point has anybody that I have ever spoken to called her just Thor. Everyone in my comic book world is like, when we say Thor, everyone means Odin's son. But when we say female Thor, that's when we know you're talking about Jane. But the problem gets far worse or muddied in general when you bring up characters that don't have that very clear gender difference. Female Thor and Thor at least functions. But when you say Spider-Man, Miles Morales is picking up nothing but momentum. The character came out and was wildly popular. Then he got his video game, he got his movie. Everything is making this character more and more popular. So as the new generation falls in love with this Spider-Man, how do you specify which Spider-Man is the proper Spider-Man? We have like 9 different Spider-Women. We already have that problem where you have to specify Jessica Drew, Gwen Stacy, or does anyone remember half the other ones? Because I can't remember them off the top of my head. I know one of them was called Arachne, but whatever. You get what I'm saying. The problem runs into that, and the same thing happens with Wolverine. I think Laura taking the title of Wolverine when her father passed away 100% works, and I think she's done a great job as being Wolverine. But then Marvel, to bring back the status quo to get us ready for another movie, brought back Logan, which isn't inherently terrible. I want more Logan stories just like you do, but now we have 2 Wolverines. Even the characters in the comics can't keep it straight. How are we as fans supposed to keep that straight? Dan got into comic books around the time that X-23 was kind of picking up steam. He legitimately likes her as Wolverine more than Logan. I like Logan more. So when we talk about Wolverine and what's going on in the comic books, we always have to specify Logan or Laura. Neither of them are referenced as Wolverine in our discussions. The same thing happens with Miles Morales and Peter Parker. Dan is legitimately a bigger fan of the whole Miles Morales storyline. I have been a fan of Peter Parker since I was a kid. So regardless of enjoying Miles Morales, when you say Spider-Man, in my head, I default to Peter Parker. And that's a lot of the big issue. We have a new generation of people coming in who are falling in love with their version of Ghost Rider, their version of Thor, their version of Spider-Man. But when we old fans hear Spider-Man, I don't default to Miles Morales unless you say Miles Morales, Spider-Man. In my head, I will always think of Peter Parker. Same thing with Wolverine. Now, the big problem with this is I think these storylines could be perfect. When Miles was in the Ultimate Universe as Spider-Man, that worked. And that proved that if we can finally break the status quo, this could actually work. If Peter Parker actually died, like his story came to its conclusion and Miles Morales took over, then you saying Spider-Man, I might think Peter Parker, but that doesn't matter because there's only one current Spider-Man. The same thing would apply with Logan. If Logan had stayed dead, I can go ahead and think you're talking about Logan, but it wouldn't matter. The current storyline is Laura. But because Marvel and DC always revert back to the status quo, we have the issue where there's literally 2 Spider-Men. There are literally, I think they changed it. I was going to say 3 Ghost Riders. I think there's only 2 right now because one of them became some weird guy with green powers and a sword. But that doesn't fix the issue. If I say Ghost Rider Danny Ketch, you'll still know who I'm talking about. Anyway, we have 2 Ghost Riders, 2 Wolverines, 2 Spider-Men, and the list goes on and on of characters that are just, I mean, Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel. Miss Marvel took the name. She's a legacy character, okay? All right, so I want you to picture this. One of the best examples of a legacy character taking a title that was 100% owed to them and then getting completely screwed over because the status quo had to go back. And if you're a fan of DC Comics, you probably know who I'm talking about. Dick Grayson finally becoming Batman in Black Mirror because Batman was killed. I air quote it because he was just sent through time and turned into Doctor Who for like basically the equivalent of a season. But that's a different argument for another day. But Dick Grayson became Batman. When Batman returned to progress the Batman storyline, Batman became the Batman of Batman Incorporated. So what he did was he went out and made multiple Batmen and turned it into like a franchise idea. Dick Grayson remained Batman. So we had a character in Gotham that was acting as Batman, and as far as anyone in Gotham knew, he was Batman. Now, this still creates a problem when Bruce came back because you're going to go, which Batman, and then you're going to have to specify it all. But what I'm saying is he got done dirty. Because in the New 52, he was immediately reverted to Nightwing, and we completely got rid of everything Bruce was doing outside of Gotham. We brought him back to Gotham, he fought the Court of the Owls, all that stuff was great stories. But people forget that Dick Grayson was actually Batman, officially Batman. Not just, oh, he's the one destined to be Batman. No, he was Batman. If we didn't have to reverse to the status quo, imagine a world where Dick Grayson stayed Batman and Bruce Wayne got to retire. Imagine a world where we actually progressed into Batman Beyond. Imagine a world where Laura Kinney got to stay Wolverine and Logan never came back from the dead. And we get to reference Logan and we get to go to hell and talk to Logan, or we get to go to heaven and talk to Logan, and he gets to like tell her she's doing a good job and you develop her character that way. Imagine a world where Mighty Thor isn't called Thor and we just gave her another name. Problem solved over there. The issue is that comic books want you to always buy the comic that says Thor or always buy the comic that says Spider-Man. They don't want to try new characters. But characters like Miles Morales, they tried the name Kid Arachnid. I think that's terrible, but they tried other names. Why don't you give these characters names? Laura Kinney became Wolverine. When Logan came back, why doesn't she take up her own moniker? If you're going to go back to the status quo, let's change this whole legacy bullshit, because all you're doing is making it more confusing. It's already confusing to get into comic books because every 12 issues we have a brand new number 1, but they don't reset the timeline. I'm looking at you, Captain Marvel, who had like 4 volume 1s in like a 2-year span of time. What even is that? I don't even know what order to read those in. But let's make it even more confusing, and you don't know which Spider-Man you're buying. You don't know which Wolverine you're buying. And the comic companies look at it as, well, it doesn't matter. You're buying Wolverine. No, it does matter. Because if I don't like Laura Kinney and I want Logan, I want to know what I'm buying. That's why I think all legacy characters suck, because they're just handled poorly. Terrible. They don't know what they're doing with them. At this point, I'm just going to start ranting and looping into my own discussions, which I don't really want to do. So let me know what you think about legacy characters down below. I'm not saying Miles and Laura and Dick Grayson are terrible characters. I love all these characters. And I really feel like they should have been given their proper justice and allowed them to progress as their new superheroes, or just give them a proper name that is all to them. But let me know what you think down below. All right. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit me up with that notification bell because notifications don't go out. I literally got a comment the other day that said, Benny, go back to making comic book videos. I make them almost every day. Almost every day I cover comic books. If you're not getting notifications, YouTube's screwing you. Go turn them back on because we have literally covered. This guy literally said, Benny, when are you going to do another Deadpool? 3 days after I just did Deadpool. And if you don't know that I made a Deadpool video, point proven. Anyway, thank you guys so much for your continued support. Let me know your thoughts down below, and I'll see you next time right here.